there are three things very important. The one is that we treat our people with disability as subjects, as, or I don't want to say object, I would have said object, but more like somebody about whom we need to do something where there is no role play from themselves, right? Yeah, so exactly, like weak and excluded and all that. So that's a very behavior of the doers, whether it's corporate sector, government sector, or able people, all philanthropists, anybody. Everybody thinks that there's something need to be done. It has been done for so long that if you talk to the disabled people or people with disability, they feel like somebody will do something someday, and we are just waiting. So the whole ability to come out, to put their assert themselves, demand, or ask for accountability is almost negligible. Almost negligible. I would say that they are not treated better than any other poor people in a remote areas, or the people who are caste wise or class wise treated absolutely downtrodden. So I'm coming also from the perspective of large scale. We have about what, 50 million population, even more. Yeah, about 5% of the population of India is people with disability. It's a huge, it's as equal as the indigenous community. They are also about 5%. That's a huge number in India. With that one, and then when we started seeing that in the last 20 years digital's development was becoming more like an enabler and an automated enabler for people with disability. And let me also say disability, also see, like, now if I don't have access to information, I am more able with digital access device, right? If I don't want to talk to people, then I have something to talk online, and there is this it enables me, my confidence, my requirement, and so on and so forth. At Digital Empowerment Foundation, we realized this by going on the ground, that even though when we were going on the ground to provide digital access or infrastructure, we were seeing that disability was almost like invisible. Why were they invisible? They were not coming forward. We are not including them. We are not even thinking about them. All the government entitlements that we ought to deliver for them, they are not even coming to take it. We don't know how to talk to them. And then we also realize there is a lot of dogmatic, traditional, look down upon kind of behavior in the community. We look at them with a lot of distance. We don't want to be in close conversation with them or touch them or feel them. They are considered as curse on the society. That's the last thing that one can imagine if you want to do a multi-stakeholder way of growing things. They are not even part of the stakeholdership. What we did is that we started talking to them and including them in doing, rather than talking about what's your problem and what's my problem and all that. We thought that, okay, this person is doing connectivity, you can also do connectivity. If this person is running a access point or a public access point, you can also run an access point. If this person is accessing computer and finding a payment for somebody, you can also do that. So everything that we thought anybody can, like anybody, if disabled person can do, we started working with them. So they become part of the working ecosystem, and suddenly they became social entrepreneur or a provider. So earlier their life was seeker, now they are more like provider. And we just created not one but 300, for example, now 500 people who run digital centers, digital access points in village level, and they provide service to all the able people, actually. And then what we learned from them is that now you can talk about disability, you can talk about their miseries, you can talk about their requirements, and so on and so forth. And that actually brought us at par, that now on an equal footing to discuss, right? And then we thought that, can we replicate this model? So what I am now coming to the last part is, how, if you, now they are able people for providing service, for talking, for infrastructure development, for digital access, everything, right? They also have more knowledge than others, because they also know extra about the spatial ability to serve the disabled people. And then we did this entire research and found out that, oh my God, government has not done the census for people with disability for so long. Why we don't have that? Now we are asking them, you demand it rather than we demand for you, because we are also going to demand, for the census for the whole country, right? Which is also not done. But can we have a special only for that one? Yeah, it's about 20 years actually. 2 decades. Yeah. One decade is lost and another decade is not come. So how can they want? The second thing, they started telling that all the government facilities are actually not implemented on the ground. Like government says that ICT enablement for access of people with disability, the whole digital centers at a public access point is not even able for their it's not wheelchair friendly. The point is that actually digital inclusion in our country and many other country is make even the normal people disabled rather than the disabled people. They have, they can't type, they can't go to the place. You have to do extra, you have to become absolutely audiovisual, and those kind of things have started coming in between. Third is that being people with disability, they have more network or data about their own community, right? So they can become a secondary source of information about the spatial lag or spatial abilities of the people with disability, and that we must take advantage is one of the recommendation that we have done. And the last part is that data in any case for anybody is very important, right? About the protection. Why it is more protection oriented approach required for people with disability is because of their extraordinary deprivation way of looking at them. So therefore you have to be more protective about them. You have to be more, make sure that their participation is, their senses is required. And the last part is that do not treat people with disability with let's say mental disability. Our researchers clearly said that government has created a legislation where you are infantilizing their ability. I mean, they are very much able, but why somebody else should take a decision on their behalf? Just that because they cannot walk or they cannot do by hand? No, that's not fair. From that point of view, the whole illiterate people in our country, about 40% of the population who cannot access internet is disabled for accessing internet just because you are not digitally literate. I mean, how can you do that? So that's very, very important. But my last point in this one is that we must do conversation, action, intervention with people with disability in everything, whether you are doing research or data collection or doing something on work. They must be part of the ecosystem. Then only it becomes complete, rather than we say that only conversation need to change, only something needs to change. They must be, it's something like we say, don't do manel, always do panel, which must have a woman. Similarly, can we do that? There is always a panel with one person with disability, at least, can you always have your discussion with one person with disability always being part of it, so that we normalize participation of disabled people into the normal conversation, is what I would like to say that.